The art gallery was buzzing with sophisticated conversation and the gentle clink of champagne glasses, but Isabella barely noticed any of it. She stood before a particularly striking painting, pretending to study the brushstrokes while her mind wandered to the impossibility of her situation. She shouldn't be here. She shouldn't have come tonight, knowing he would be here too. "You're avoiding me." His voice, deep and rich like aged whiskey, sent an immediate shiver down her spine. Isabella didn't need to turn around to know it was Adrian. She'd felt his presence the moment he'd entered the room, like a magnetic pull she couldn't ignore. "I'm appreciating art," she replied, proud that her voice remained steady despite the way her heart hammered against her ribs. "So am I." She felt him move closer, close enough that the warmth of his body seemed to envelop her. Still, she didn't turn. She couldn't. Looking at him would be her undoing, and they both knew it. Isabella. The way he said her name was like a caress, soft and reverent. "Look at me." Against every rational thought in her head, she turned. Adrian stood there in his perfectly tailored black suit, looking like he'd stepped out of her most dangerous dreams. His dark eyes held that familiar intensity that had gotten them into this impossible situation in the first place. His strong jaw was set with determination, and those lips, the ones that had haunted her thoughts for weeks, curved into the slightest smile. "We can't," she whispered, though even as she said it, she felt herself taking a small step closer to him. "I know," he replied, his eyes never leaving hers. "But tell me you haven't thought about it. Tell me you don't feel this pull between us every time we're in the same room." Isabella's breath caught. Of course she had thought about it. She thought about it every day, every night. The way he'd looked at her during that business meeting 3 weeks ago. The way his fingers had brushed hers when he'd handed her the contract. The way time seemed to stop whenever they were near each other. "This is madness," she breathed. "Maybe," Adrian said, stepping closer still. "But the best things in life usually are." The gallery noise faded into background static. Isabella was acutely aware of everything about him. The way his cologne mixed with his natural scent. The way his chest rose and fell with controlled breathing. The way his eyes seemed to see straight into her soul. "One kiss," he said quietly, his voice rough with barely contained desire. "Just one, and I'll walk away if you ask me to." Isabella knew she should say no. She knew she should turn around and leave, go back to her safe, predictable life. But standing here, looking into his eyes, she realized she was tired of safe. Tired of always doing the right thing, the expected thing. "One kiss," she whispered. Adrian's eyes darkened with something primal and beautiful. Slowly, giving her every opportunity to change her mind, he reached up and cupped her face in his hands. His palms were warm and slightly rough, sending delicious tingles across her skin. "You're trembling," he observed softly, his thumb gently stroking her cheek. "I know," she admitted, her voice barely audible. He leaned in slowly, tortuously slowly, until his lips were just a breath away from hers. "Isabella," he whispered her name like a prayer. When their lips finally met, the world exploded into sensation. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, as if they were both afraid of the fire they were about to unleash. But then Isabella's lips parted slightly under his, and Adrian deepened the kiss with a passion that made her knees weak. His lips were impossibly soft, moving against hers with a skill that made her head spin. She felt herself melting into him, her hands coming up to clutch the lapels of his jacket as if anchoring herself to reality. The kiss was everything. Tender and fierce, gentle and consuming, sweet and dangerously addictive. Adrian's arms came around her, pulling her closer until there was no space left between them. His strong hands moved slowly down her back, each touch sending electric currents through her entire body. She could feel the controlled strength in his embrace, the way he held her like she was something precious and breakable. Time seemed suspended. The gallery, the other guests, the rest of the world, none of it existed. There was only this moment, only the two of them lost in a connection so intense it took her breath away. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. Isabella's lips felt swollen from his kisses, and she could see her own desire reflected in his dark eyes. "Isabella," he said again, her name falling from his lips like a melody. "Yes," she replied, though she wasn't even sure what she was agreeing to. All she knew was that she never wanted this feeling to end. His hands still framed her face, his thumbs tracing gentle circles on her cheeks. "You're so beautiful," he murmured. "Not just tonight, not just in this dress. Always. Every time I see you, you take my breath away." Tears pricked at her eyes again, happy tears, overwhelmed tears. No one had ever made her feel this way before, like she was the most captivating woman in the world. "What are you doing to me?" she whispered, her voice full of wonder. "The same thing you're doing to me," he replied, pressing his forehead against hers. "Driving me completely out of my mind with wanting you." The honesty in his voice, the raw emotion, made her heart race even faster. This wasn't just physical attraction, though the chemistry between them was undeniable. This was something deeper, something that scared and thrilled her in equal measure. "Adrian," she breathed his name, and watched as his eyes fluttered closed at the sound. "Say it again," he requested, his voice rough. "Adrian," she repeated, loving the way his name felt on her lips. He kissed her again, deeper this time, with a passion that made her forget her own name. His hands tangled in her hair, and she could feel the restraint in his touch, the careful control he was maintaining even as desire threatened to consume them both. When they broke apart again, both were trembling. "Come with me," he said suddenly, his voice urgent. "Not tonight, not like this when we're both overwhelmed. But come with me somewhere we can talk, somewhere we can figure out what this is between us." Isabella looked into his eyes and saw something she'd never seen before. A man who wanted her not just for a moment, but for something real, something lasting. A man who was willing to wait, to do things right, even when the desire between them was threatening to burn them both alive. "Yes," she said, and meant it with every fiber of her being. Adrian smiled then, a smile so beautiful it made her heart skip. "Good," he said, pressing one more soft kiss to her lips. "Because I'm not letting you go. Not now that I've found you." As they stood there in the dim corner of the gallery, holding each other close, Isabella realized that some kisses change everything. Some kisses are worth the risk, worth the complications, worth turning your entire world upside down. This was one of those kisses, and as Adrian held her close, whispering sweet promises in her ear about all the tomorrows they could have together, Isabella knew that she would never, ever be the same. The forbidden had become irresistible, and for the first time in her life, she was exactly where she belonged.